Welcome to Comic Power. I am your host, Comic Killer 72. Welcome to Wicked Wednesday, where we discuss all the new comics that's coming out this week. Every Wednesday is like Christmas for us nerds because that's when the new comics come out. These are my recommendations for the best books to pick up on Wednesday. But here's some other information first. We recently lost Adam West, who's famous for playing Batman in the 1960s TV show. The show was campy and very goofy, but we loved it anyway. And now a moment of silence. Now the show must go on with New Comic Day. And DC Comics has given us Action Comics number 981. Superman races to save the Suicide Squad from General Zod, Cyborg Superman, and the Eradicator. Action Comics is coming out every 2 weeks, so we're just around the corner from issue 1000 in 2018. So that will be the 80th anniversary of Superman's and issue 1000 dropping. It's going to be a big deal. So bone up on what's going on right now because it's leading up to it. Next up is Dark Days, The Forge number 1. There's star power all over this. Scott Snyder is writing it and Jim Lee is drawing it. In this storyline, the Justice League members believe that Batman harbors a secret that can destroy the multiverse. There's also going to be variants done by Andy Kubert shown here and John Romita Jr. shown here. Just pick a favorite. Next up is Wonder Woman number 24, and this is the epilogue of the God Watch storyline. If you're collecting Wonder Woman, I would advise you to get the Jenny Frison cover B variants. She makes Wonder Woman look imperial and regal. Jenny Frison made my list of one of the top 10 female comic book artists in the business. Go back and watch that video. It was published on March the 31st, 2017. The Wonder Woman movie is excellent, by the way. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. I highly recommend it. Next up is The Flash number 24, guest starring Hal Jordan, Green Lantern. This is the prelude to the Running Scared storyline. What they're doing with The Flash right now looks magnificent. Alright, now time for some silliness with Marvin, Martian Manhunter number 1. Wow, try to say that 5 times fast. Warner Brothers is the parent company of both Looney Tunes and DC Comics, so it's no surprise they would mash them up together. They have more crossovers besides this arriving, like Lobo Roadrunner and Batman Elmer Fudd, but both of the Martians beating each other is pretty interesting to me. And a lot of fun. Marvin the Martian made his first appearance in a cartoon called Haredevil Hair in 1948. The superhero Martian Manhunter first appeared in Detective Comics number 225 in 1955. This will probably be the first thing I read this Wednesday. I'm looking forward to this. In more silliness, Mad Magazine is putting out a trade paperback called Mad About Trump. Mad Magazine also is owned by Warner Brothers. If you think this is funny, go ahead and pick it up. I do not want to hear any political comments on the comment section, okay? This is not the forum for that. Next up, let's see what Marvel is up to, and that's going to be The Defenders number 1. This is a team up of some of their best street level heroes, including Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Jessica Jones. All 4 of them have a solo live action Netflix show, by the way, and all of them were critically acclaimed except for Iron Fist, which appeared to be rushed. It had very sloppy execution on the martial arts, which is so essential for who the character is. The show never really clicked. As I stated before, I think it was rushed because they were trying to get to the Defenders faster. They should have done Iron Fist right and pushed back the team up to 2019. In the comic debut, Diamondback will be the villain. On the start of issue number 1, there's going to be numerous variants, including this hip-hop variant, which pays homage to De La Soul's The Stakes Is High album. It's not one of the better hip-hop variants I've ever seen, but they're highly collectible and people love them. Next up is Secret Empire number 4 of a 10-part miniseries. This doesn't seem to do anything but piss people off because the story is that Captain America has been a Hydra agent all this time. Marvel has received such a backlash about it that they asked their fans to just wait to see how this ends. It was a bad idea from the beginning because if Captain America is a Hydra agent, they just pissed on 75 years of history. If he's not, then it's just a big gotcha. And they had to use some superhero cliches such as he was cloned or he was brainwashed or something lame like that. But let's face it, they're creating fake controversy to try to sell comics. And this is their big summer crossover. They have one every year. Last year it was Civil War II where Captain Marvel and Iron Man squared off. And of course there's variants, plenty of variants, such as this action figure variant of the Punisher shown here and a Jason Scott Campbell variant. I don't think that he's as good as he used to be. I think he's just phoning it in for the money. It looks like he worked on this about 20 minutes and then handed it in like, I'm Jason Scott Campbell, you'll take whatever I give you. Next up is Old Man Logan, number 25. This is drawn by Mike Deodato, and he is putting in work. His work is superior, unlike Jason Scott Campbell, who's clearly not even caring anymore. In this issue, Old Man Logan takes on the Maestro. All the Maestro is a alternative future Hulk, and he maintains Bruce Banner's intelligence. Casual fans probably have no idea what the hell is going on and are wondering, why is the Hulk balding and look like an old guy? Marvel has some incredible characters, but does a poor job of explaining them. I guess that's why programs like mine are so necessary in trying to explain all this complicated stuff to casual viewers. Of course, the Wolverine character made his first appearance in Hulk 181 back in 1974. And Marvel has no qualms about exploiting that history to try to sell comics today. That's why you get homage covers like this. They look pretty cool, but they're not trying to stay on their own. They want to exploit the legacy of the Hulk versus Wolverine. Next up is Weapon X #4, and I'm not critical of Marvel on this. I actually applaud them for this storyline. It's the story of the Weapon Plus program, which turned Wolverine and Sabretooth, aka Victor Creed, into super soldiers. Being mutants with healing factors made them ideal for the program because they could take the trauma of the surgeries for the enhancements when most test subjects died. And logically, the Weapon Plus program, also known as Weapon X, wants to retrieve their assets such as Wolverine, Sabretooth, and other assets that went rogue. And if the asset is not retrievable, then they'll just try to kill them. Domino, Lady Deathstrike, and other characters also show up in this series. I'm really enjoying the storyline, and Weapon X #1 was my pick of the week for April 12, 2017. I have no idea how long this series is going to run, if it's a 6-issue miniseries or longer. Anyone out there that knows for sure, please speak up in the comments section. Next up is Black Panther World of Wakanda, which is going to a trade paperback, collecting the whole miniseries in one volume. Black Panther headlines the title, but this miniseries actually focused on the Midnight Angels. That's Black Panther's all-female top flight security team, and they do mercenary work as well. They will be highly featured in the Black Panther movie in February. The exploitation of the Mary Jane Watson character also continues, with variant covers dropping for other books that have nothing to do with the Spider-Man universe, with all new Wolverine #21 shown here with the claws, and Deadpool #32 by Elizabeth Torque. If you like these, then go for it. Next up is our report on independent comics and small publishers. First up is Kid Sherlock #1 from Action Lab. It's a fresh spin on the Sherlock Holmes genre. John Watson is the new kid in school who's not fitting in, and he so happens to be a dog. But he finds a friend in young Sherlock Holmes, a kid who's so lost in his thoughts that he's almost oblivious to other people. It's elementary school, dear Watson. I couldn't wait to tell that joke. Next up is Jimmy Bastards #1 from Aftershock Comics. This is a character that is loosely based on James Bond. Being a British super agent that all the ladies love, he gets a new partner who's also a female who shows no interest in him, and it rocks his world. He's the biggest a-hole in the world, and he thinks all women should love him, so he can't understand. This is written by Garth Ennis, who's also the guy who gave us Preacher, so it's virtually guaranteed that this will be well written. Next up is Betty and Veronica #3 from Archie Comics. This has finally come out. It's been a long time coming because it took 12 months to put out 3 issues. This book is both written and drawn by comic genius Adam Hughes. He wanted to prove that not only is he a great artist, but he also can write, but he's very busy, so it took him forever. There are 2 different Hughes covers you can pick up. You can get the Betty version or you can get the Veronica version. If you missed it, they're going to put out a trade paperback with all 3 issues coming out in the future. I really like what Adam did with this project though. Next up is Catalyst Prime XL #1 from Lion Forge. I gotta give it up to the people at Lion Forge. They are very ambitious with their new comic projects. They look very well done in terms of art. Hopefully the writing is good, but they're worth picking up issues #1 of them to see where they go. This is the story of a young man named Daniel Dos Santos who gets the superpower of speed after he's exposed to an ET object. Next up is The Dam #2 from Oni Press. Issue #1 came out at just $1 to get you to try it out, and hopefully get you hooked. It's written by Cullen Bunn, who's the master of horror. It mashes up the genres of horror monster meets Prohibition era gangsters. Next up is Normandy Gold #1 from Titan Comics. It's the story of a female sheriff who's out for revenge after her sister turns out to be murdered, and she dives headfirst into the seedy world of prostitution and gangsters to try to solve the mystery. It's influenced by Dirty Harry, if you remember the Clint Eastwood movies from the 1970s, where a cop has to go outside of the law to get things done. The only difference is Normandy Gold has a female lead with a female writer. Next up is Rai, The History of the Valiant Universe #1. This book is a one-shot involving Rai, who is the protector of 41st century Japan. This character made my list of one of the top 10 Asian comic book characters of all time. And this year is this character's 25th anniversary in comics. Valiant has some of the best stories and art that you're going to find in comics, and you should be reading at least one title. Next up is the speculation pick of the week. And that's going to be Briggs Land Lone Wolves #1 from Dark Horse Comics. This is issue 1 of a 6-part miniseries. Let me explain it so it makes a little more sense. Briggs Land number 1, volume 1 dropped on August 17, 2016, and I named it the Speculation Pick of the Week. It's the story of a secessionist compound in rural America that wants to lead the United States. When its leader is put in jail, his wife, Grace Briggs, decides to seize power, and it winds up splitting the community because some people do not want to be ruled by a woman. So it causes infighting within the Briggs Land community while they're still trying to fight the government. In this continuation of the story, 2 backpackers mistakenly trespassed on Briggs Land property, and then trouble breaks out after that. The first Briggs Land miniseries was nominated for an Eisner for Best New Miniseries, and this property has been optioned for a TV show on AMC. That network has done very well with protagonists that are flawed, such as Mad Men and Breaking Bad, so why wouldn't they have one with a female lead that's also flawed? My pick to play the lead would be Ashley Judd. She would be perfect for this role. The character in the comic has 4 sons ranging from ages 18 to early 30s. Ashley turns 50 years old in 2018, so that would be perfect. And Hollywood needs to hire me as a casting agent, I swear. So Briggs Land number 1, Lone Wolves, get it. And of course, get the original Briggs Land number 1 while you're at it. Before we close, let's see what Image is up to, and that is always something good. First up is Bitch Planet Triple Feature number 1. This is the story of a future dystopian world where men are in charge and women that get out of line are sent to an off-planet prison called Bitch Planet. It's not as exploitive as it sounds because it's written by a woman. I call this feminist sci-fi. This spin-off miniseries just expands on this universe because the main title focuses on the women who are actually in prison, but the triple feature basically explains how the world got this messed up in the first place. Bitch Planet is a Eisner nominated, very important series that you should be checking out. Next up is Regression number 2. This is written by Cullen Bunn, who has seized the title of The Master of Horror. They're also re-releasing issue number 1 is a second print shown here. I'm not a fan of the covers because they look pretty gross looking, but Cullen Bunn is definitely the go-to guy if you love this genre. Next up is Rose number 3. It's a fantasy world revenge story with a female lead. So far, it's been by the numbers and pretty predictable. I'm waiting to see if there's going to be a twist in it or not. It's drawn very well, but the story has been lagging so far. We'll see if there's any tricks up Meredith Finch's sleeve. Next up is Kill the Minotaur number 1, which seems to be mixing real-life events in Greek history like Athens losing to Crete, but with a modern sci-fi play on it. This is not going to be for everybody, but if you like mythology, then this is going to be for you. Next up is Rock Stars, which is going to trade paperback, collecting the first 5 issues of this series. It's the story of a rock and roll history buff who teams up with a tabloid journalist to investigate some unsolved groupie murders back in the 1970s. Next up, and also going to trade paperback, is Motor Crush, collecting the first 5 issues of this new series. The story takes place about 50 years in the future, and the lead character is Domino Swift, an African-American female motorcycle racer. It's drawn with manga influence, and it's written and drawn by the creative team of New 52 Batgirl. The character just so happens to be a lesbian as well, making her one of the few LBGT characters with her own title. Motor Crush number 1 made my list of top 10 comics of 2016 too. The character's sexuality does not dominate the story, it's just part of it. If you missed the single issues, then you must have the trade paperback. This book is that good. For real. You know the drill. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, give it the thumbs up, and share these videos on social media so others learn about comic power. That's about it for today. Thank you for watching Wicked Wednesday, where I review all the new comic books for a new comic day. Be sure to follow my blog at comicpower.net. On social media, follow me at facebook.com/comicpower.net and comicpower-universe.tumblr.com. And don't forget twitter.com/comicpowersub. I also sell comics on eBay at this link. This is Comic Killer 72 for Comic Power saying bye-bye. And don't forget to share this video, click on subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and tell everyone you know about this channel to help it grow. Thank you for your support.